Hey, what's going on, YouTube? It's Volsa, and I have returned. Hey, I'm sorry about the absent. I was on vacation for about the last week or 10 days or so. Took a wonderful trip to Switzerland. A lot of great hiking, a lot of great cheese. Less chocolate than I would have expected, but still had a wonderful time. A bit expensive, but anyway, now I'm back. And during my trip, I just didn't have the time or, frankly, the equipment or the setup to be able to produce videos. So that's why the absence, but now I'm back in Home Kingdom. Looking forward to this upcoming KVK and hopefully bringing you guys a lot more content. All right, so let's talk about the KVK. We're in the last couple days of Brink of War. We're about to finish up with the training event. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the matchup here. Of course, there were some issues with this matchup. For some reason, the developers decided to categorize 84 teams as either A or B. And anyone can do some simple math here and say, okay, 84 divided by 4, that equals 21. That's 10 and a half matchups. What are you going to do? I thought they just take, the top, C and D team, essentially pull them up. But for some reason, they decided they can't do that. And they told the bottom A and B matchup, that was the X and SNIX group, hey, you're going to be force skipped. Sorry, tough luck, buddies. Thankfully, there was a ton of outrage against that and a ton of pushback. And the developers changed their mind and managed to sort of wedge the X and SNIX team into another KVK. Okay, that's good. But we never should have been in that problem in the first place. What about the matchup here? Well, let's go to this matchup. We're Server 17, Eternal Ducks. That's us on the top here. We're the A team in this group. And then the B team here is RSYN. They used to be called CMAR, but they've undergone some restructuring. A number of their players has left, so they're a lot smaller than they used to be. But we've been on team with them before. In the south here, 193. That's the IR Alliance. They're the A team. And then 229 is Kin. We fought with IR before. Great relationship with them. 229, Kin. The first time I've ever been in a KVK with them. Looking forward to working with them. So we're opposed by the red team here. In the west, we have 31 and 45. 31's POTC or POTCU. They're the A group. And then BB is Server 45. We've actually fought with them before. Great team. I think they're a little bit smaller than they used to be. Probably had some restructuring going on. And kind of the same scenario here to the east here, 62. That's FG. First time we fought them. But then we also have KOD. We've been in a KVK with them before, and they're the B team here, and also a little smaller than they used to be. All right, so like I said, I love this matchup. Everyone has a zone 2 that we're going to fight in. Then we go into Zone 3. Zone 3 is a little interesting because everyone gets their own Zone 3 for a little while. And then a few days later, you have the opportunity to invade the neighboring Zone 3s. And then eventually your Gate 5s open in and we all go into the Dragon Zone. At least theoretically, we all go into the Dragon Zone. It is at least possible that, one side or another could get zone locked out of the Dragon Zone. It doesn't seem likely, but it is possible. I don't love the fact that there's not immediate fighting in Zone 3s. The last time we had this sort of like double A's, double B's, everyone had a Zone 2 that they fought over, then everyone had a Zone 3 that they fought over, and then everyone got access to the Dragon Zone. I actually think that's superior to this model, but it is what it is. So we'll see great fighting in Zone 2, might see fighting in Zone 3, you never know with this kind of setup, and then obviously we expect to see a great Dragon Zone. All right, what about the power of this matchup? Is this a balanced matchup? Well, there's a lot of different ways to calculate strengths here. The one number that I always look at is just like server power. The best public numbers I've seen are from Boss Nasty, and once again, I always appreciate what he does with the data pulls. And there's a pretty significant power difference here. According to his numbers, the blue team has combined about 54.5 billion power, and the red team has combined just a nudge over 64 billion power. So a little less than a 10 billion power gap between the two sides. At these numbers, that's actually pretty significant, and I'm surprised that the developers match these two sides together. Now look, raw power is not the only thing that's important. Obviously, activity matters. When you do a raw power pool, you're going to pull some accounts that just aren't that active anymore. Maybe the players have completely quit, or maybe they just log on to farm but don't really participate in the KVKs very well. God knows we have a few of those on our server. You do your best to try and address that problem, but honestly, the developers don't give you a lot of good tools to do that with. But hey, look, the developers, they see more information than me. The fact that they screwed up the number of teams in this KVK doesn't give me a lot of confidence, But, what am I going to do? I'm going to go in and fight my rear end off to do the best I can to try and win this KVK. I expect all of my Alliance members to do that. And we'll see how it goes, right? We've certainly been in KVKs before when, we were underdogs and we won. And we've certainly been in KVKs before when we were underdogs and got our butts kicked. So I love the fighting. You always like to win, but I expect some great fighting, so I'm really looking forward to that. All right, one last thing to look at. Let's look at where we are at the brink of war right now. And like I said, we have a few hours left for the training phase. The training phase gives you more points than everything else. So this is sort of like wherever you're at the end of the training phase, usually you're pretty locked in there. Now, if you're really close to someone else, maybe in the third phase in which you're just donating gems or resources, you can either pass them or be caught. But you have to be really close for that to happen. And so in about 3.5 hours from the time I'm recording this, we should know where we're at. So 62, that's the FG Alliance. They're running away with this. They're for sure going to get the number 1 spot. We're in second place here, but you can see we're pretty competitive with 31. That's the POTC, POTU server. And so, we're hanging on to number 2 right now, but it's by no means locked in. And then 193, that's the other A Kingdom, that's our allies in IR. They seem pretty much locked into 4th. Down in the B Kingdoms here, you have, 45. That's the BB Alliance. They're sort of clearly, they're 30 million points ahead of the next B Alliance, so I think they're going to get 5th place, right? That's the speed buff. That's really good. Not a ton of difference between 6 through 8, right? 6, that's the Kin Alliance. That's one of our allies. And then 7th, that's 290. That's KOD. And then 113 here, that's the RSYN Alliance. They're in 8th place currently. Okay, so what can you expect from me this week? Well, like I said, the season begins in a couple days here, and as soon as we go live on July 18th, I'm going to be live streaming my start to the season, showing everyone what I do to start out the season strong. If you don't know, the KVK begins pretty quickly here, right? You have a couple days to set up, but that first gate that opens into Zone 2, so you're going to see fighting in this KVK very quickly. This weekend, we got Roots of War, both on Saturday and Sunday. I'll be live streaming those. And Saturday is the team one. That's the one I do on this account, my main account. And that's just probably going to be the last time I play Eagles for a while because they're super good in row. So I thought I'd give them one last go, and then I'm probably switching over. And I'm leaning towards League of Order right now, but I'm going to spend one season, with Ground Cav, not playing the Spring Wardens, just to see how I like it. Then also, like I said, also stream Sunday that our Team 2 row, which I do with my alternate account. And you should see a number of videos from me in the next week and a half, on my typical usual. Got some new Doom pets to show you. Got some updates on some of the older Doom pets. And also my typical War Pet Academy type of content. Hey, that's all I got today. I just wanted to give you a quick update on where I was and that I have returned. And until next time, you stay classy, Belleron.